Hi everyone, this is Jack All Out with another money episode. Today I'm updating my ever popular JPI. That is the Jack Price Index. As many of you know, I've been very critical of our consumer price index, or you may have heard as CPI. Here you'll see one of the consumer price index tables, and one of the big factors is shelter at almost 35%. See, this is out of 100. And a big factor is this owner's equivalent rent. What is that? You can see I've looked at this. So owner's equivalent rent is calculated using a monthly survey of consumers living in a unit. The survey poses the question of how much the owner would pay to rent their home rather than own it. Wow, what a question. And what a subjective measure to measure our inflation. A while ago, I heard the best explanation of inflation I've ever heard, and it was by Michael Saylor. This idea that everyone should have their own inflation rate. It is a vector of your spending, your wants, your desires. If you go back and look at here in shelter, or there's nowhere for any specific real estate, or there's no actual market value prices for real estate. So basically they're assuming you don't really want, that beachfront property in Miami, or that awesome spot down the street from Fulham Football Club in England, or that high-rise condo in Tokyo. So if those are things that you actually want, you should be measuring those, because your inflation rate could be very well higher than what the CPI state inflation is. On the other side, if you're living in your parents' basement and just having munchies and pizza every meal, your inflation rate may be much less than the stated CPI inflation rate. So with that, let's get to updating my JPI, Jack Price Index. I'm going to update using prices for the items I had in the original basket. Now, I will say a lot of these items are not a great diet. So you can see here that, I have a lot of matcha and Arizona iced tea. This is funny because I think I set this back in, like a while ago. But we're going to use this basket. I'll figure out what that ratio would be, or that inflation rate would be, with that same inflation rate. And then I might actually end up modifying this, because I've actually been eating a lot of meat recently, and I feel a little better. So I'm definitely going to add a little more steak to my diet. And I think it would be wise to include some steak in here, as well as some other things. But okay, so let's get to this. So matcha latte with soy milk at Starbucks. So I'm just going to go on my app and look at what now, I will say I've been doing chai lattes a lot of times if I do go to Starbucks, just because I love making my matcha drinks at home with my Encha matcha. So I make a lot of Encha matcha frappuccinos. That is soy milk here, but I actually do coconut milk a lot more now. So let's see here. Huh. This is interesting. The price actually has gone down. Actually, I wonder if I change the location, if it, okay. 612. Interesting. Okay, average of top 5 books on Amazon's nonfiction. 1464. Twelve eleven. 1211, 1505. $27.99. Okay, so a little increase there. Cheapest Friday night flight to Vienna, under 14 hours, booked for 1 month out in the future. Okay, so we're going to, let's go to Orbitz. So we're booking a month out. See what we got here. Now this will obviously have seasonality to it, because now we're booking out in January and it's not a very pleasant place to be in January. So it would be helpful to look at these in the same month, year over year. But I'll say 758. And then we're also going to do the same for DTW, which is Detroit, which is where I'm. Wow. But this has got to be nonstop. It's cheap. 184. Holy cow. Let's go to the, we look up food items on Lidl. The next item up we have is baby watermelon. Okay, 427. Lentils. 199 we'll say. Gallon of Arizona iced tea. I don't even drink these things anymore. 348. I'm really curious what these were last time. Matcha Frappuccino and Mako. This used to be a matcha store that I liked. I don't go there very often now. But the reason basically was because it was getting so expensive. I had learned how to make it in my own. So this is an example of sometimes on the CPI, when things get so expensive and people substitute it out, they just substitute it in the consumer price index. For instance, if people were eating a lot of steak and they were like $10 a pop, and then let's say just as an extreme, it went up to $100 and people couldn't afford it, but then they could afford ground beef. Well, then they just put ground beef into the consumer price index basket. Let's see what we got here for a matcha frappuccino. Oh shoot, what these are costing here. They have the prices? Huh. Let's call them up, shall we?
Matcha Cafe Micro.
Hi there. How much is a matcha frappuccino right now?
Right now?
Yeah.
Can you hold on 1 second?
Sure.
And would you like the medium or the large?
What are the sizes?
We have the 12 ounce and the 16 ounce.
The 16 ounce.
16 ounce?
Yeah.
And would you be paying with cash or card?
Does it?
If you yes.
It does change the price?
Yes, because we have a processing fee of 3%.
Ah, okay.
A card.
Well, let's say I'm paying with a card.
So with the card, that would be $7.56.
Okay, thank you.
Have a good one.
Wow, $7.56. That's here. I gotta look. I know I didn't want to bias myself by looking, but what were those? $8. Huh. Interesting. I had $8 there. I wonder if that was an estimate or if I actually called in there. Spaghetti with pesto from Portofino's. This is an Italian restaurant that I like. Let's give them a call, shall we? Hi there. I was curious, what does spaghetti with pesto cost right now? Just like the oil pesto, not the creamy pesto.
Altogether, it would be 1835 with tax.
1845?
1835 with tax.
1835. Thank you. Wow. Okay. I don't know. Let's see. Internet service. What is our internet? I think it's like $80. Sounds like a lot though, right? I'm gonna check. That probably has not changed. Dang, 75 cents. That sounds like a good deal. I think this is normally the one I get actually. Or this one. Huh. Yeah, let's split the difference. We'll say like 85 cents. Price 12-foot 6x6. So let's see if we can go to Lowe's. I know Home Depot is cheaper for some stuff, but I kind of like Lowe's more. Lowe's prices. We want a 6x6 piece of lumber. We really want it by 12, actually. Let's see. 6 by just, yeah, looks. $44.28 it's saying for the 12-foot. Huh. 44.28. I'm gonna say 43,873. 43,873. So this one, I'm using my base count is from April 2021. So you could see I basically made it, I times it by, I got like a monthly rate and then I times it by 12. This was 23 months. Now we've gone another 9. Another 9. Okay, so it's averaged out a little bit. So let's look at, sorry, so these were price changes from last time I updated. So let's look at this. Just a little more. Dynamic here. So you can see the flights. Well, this flight in particular to Vienna, there might be some seasonality there, obviously. So hopefully when March comes around, I can update this again. I'll try to update this more regularly, and then we'll do a year over year. Dang. What is that? So goodness. Dealing with Arizona iced tea. What the heck? Tuba toothpaste. Dang. So that went down a lot. And that's actually gone down since the last time I checked. Actually, I did take an average, so it's probably the 99 cents, honestly, is what I. Yeah, my health care, our health care went up tremendously. Um, Gold up an annualized rate of 5%. Bitcoin 11%. Cost of one share of S&P 500 8%. Holy cow! Base say 43%. Holy but Jesus! I mean, the houses in Vienna, Tokyo's up a good chunk. But basically, my annualized inflation rate since 2021, I would estimate at 15%. Saying that another way, how can you use this information? Well, if you look here and look at some of these big items, well, let's say I still drink a lot of Arizona iced teas. Um, Buying these jugs, if they last a long time, which they probably do because they add a bunch of stuff in them. But instead of investing like the S&P 500, you might be better off just loading up on food and storing them, honestly. Um, Trying to think. But yeah, I mean, stuff's expensive, man. The stuff we actually use, like a lot of food. I mean, healthcare. Yeah, I mean, this is more specific to my situation just because I left my 9 to 5 job and my wife works for a smaller company where the population is smaller, so they have to pay more to insure their employees. So this is more of a personal, but I mean, nonetheless, this is really added. Did you see the S&P and NASDAQ have gone up 8 and 4% respectively, but you know, it seems like a lot of foods have gone up that too. And if you look at the gallon of Arizona, so I don't know, maybe there's some canned goods. Like if you have a lot of canned goods that would be in your basket, maybe those have gone up more than what the S&P and the NASDAQ have gone up. So I don't know. You might want to think maybe I should just load up on canned food, and maybe that's a better allocation of capital right now. Um, Interesting to look at. And another thing you can think of is if your life is inflating at 15%, well, if you can borrow at anything less than that, I'm not advocating just going and taking a ton of debt, but it's kind of crazy that if you borrow some money and then go and spend on some of these things that are increasing at faster rates, you're going to feel relatively better if those trends continue. So yeah, food for thought. I will have a link to the Michael Saylor discussion on the Investors Podcast, where he breaks down why you, not necessarily why you should, but how inflation is very much a personalized vector, and that you should basically think about the things that you consume a lot of and the things that you want, because you want to be able to strive for something or have a goal in mind of what you might want to one day have. And that's not to say you always need to be thinking you need more and more, but just to have a sense of what the things that you want or might want are increasing, and to keep that in the back of your mind, because the inflation number that we see in the CPI, let me bring that over again. Over here, this consumer price index, once again, it doesn't really represent what a lot of Americans are feeling. Because this owner's equivalent rent is a subjective number, and it's almost a quarter of the whole index. So people need to wake up a little bit, take some responsibility for how you're allocating your money. Try to be a little smarter. Think about what's not included here. Think about why it might not be included here. And I will see you in the next episode. Take care.